Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John's reports for the 27th. Well, we dipped slightly below the ABM yellow, but pulled back above it here in the pre-market already. We slightly went up, and you can see the breakdown of the magenta slightly below the 33, and that was enough to create some soft selling because you can see the shorts in that covered as soon as they got a little bit of the dip, and we've already dipped back down here below the 530 level. So again, shorts just don't get all that excited. You can see the crossover here from the DOC here with the cyan slightly moving ahead, but short-term buyers popping back up. That should be enough to hold the line on things. And this is just that little back and forth as we're sort of caught in between some weakness from economic readings. But again, it's the continued nothing happening, which is relatively good news overall. And without any surprises, of course, you had that bridge incident in Baltimore, and that will have some impact on other things, but overall, this is not a major factor in what the market sees, unless it's determined to be, terrorism of some kind or whatever. The NQ faded off the same, but stayed relatively in between that 176%, and that's kind of a no man's land at this particular stage, and it's likely to continue that way. The key is to keep the view on the shakeout and whether or not we start making lower histograms, because until we move to the zero level, it's going to continue just like it is. When we look at treasuries, nothing happening there. Again, this is that caught between, is the Fed going to ease? Are they not going to ease? Is oil going to continue to rise or hold steady? These are the unknowns. As gasoline prices and that change, they're going to have nominal effect. It's not anything severe because it's not a dramatic move. There's still problems, and the question really becomes on the supply issue. Is the issue in the Red Sea going to be a problem? The conflict in Eastern Europe, there, is it going to grow? These are the unknowns that we wait for, and at this particular stage, the EU continues to talk about pushing forward and being more aggressive, but we're sort of frozen from a U.S. side. So status quo. Euro, and status quo means nothing, but if oil prices continue to rise, that's going to continue to put pressure on euro. From a gold standpoint, we expected it to continue to rise and doing just that. A little bit of a slowdown from a crypto standpoint, sort of holding after the significant little pump. The same thing happened with ETH, slightly below where Bitcoin move was. But needless to say, they're all doing relatively well given where we're at situation wise. You can see that we filled in some more positive extremes, coming all the way back to these right there, which was the beginning of that secondary run up, leaving only the initial breakout of the move. We popped back up, and so that 50% became a critical point. We skyrocketed above it, but then fought back to it. When we got to it, we ended up with white NBI leading, and white NBI leading below the 50%. That's a call to the 0%, which is exactly what we did. So that worked out beautifully, right in line with expectations. And from an intraday standpoint, pretty benign. Started off flat, and then at the end of the day, there was a nice clear out to check any stops in that might be available. And as soon as they cleared all those out, what did they do? Pumped it back up. So much to do about nothing. But again, fairly decent volatility within that range. You just have to be in futures where you can capture 24/7 versus waiting for the open market. And this is what gets option players, which is really where the market is going to be moving, I think, now, because we're seeing so much more in the option category that I think it's just changing the way intraday trade is going to take place, because you have to wipe out some of that gamma and that, and that certainly does it by creating a little sell-off, kill the call, gamma there, and then you're able to spike it back up and get relatively back to nowhere, but you've had the time decay, and also that volatility decay just really burns through the option value. So there's going to be some of that play taking place in there while there isn't any major significant move taking place at this stage. So that's the long and the short of it, but anything relevant, I'll certainly put on the Skype chat. And we'll see if we get a little peek up. We knew that this was holiday week, and particularly coming into tomorrow, and that things should start to get a little more I don't want to say funky, but just a little bit wilder simply because there are going to be more people who are off, and that slows things down, which allows for other traders to move things a little bit more dramatically. So just be aware of that. As always, though, trade well. I'll talk again later. Have a good one.